How's everybody doing? For the next 2 hours, I'm going to be your host. My name is Matt, sometimes the Grass Factor, Martin. Getting everything sorted here. I just walked in the door, of course. Yeah. All right, so today we've got a special episode of, we're going to have on a dear friend of mine who I've been friends with for a long time. His name is Russell Skipper. And I thought we would talk about, we'd have just a good, open kind of dialogue about what it's like scaling a lawn care company. And I can, boy, there's a lot Russell and I could cover here because he's kind of done it all, right? So everything from landscaping, everything to commercial contracting. Actually, he got started as a commercial landscaper and then ended up finding his way into lawn care. And it's just, you know, once you do that, you get hooked. And so I think it would be a good conversation for everybody that's out there and wondering, you know, what are those steps like when you move from one truck to two trucks, as being just a solo guy, to moving to two trucks, moving to three trucks, or being a solo guy and you get locked into kind of one way of thinking and you want to figure out, how do I break out of this mold I'm currently in? So coming up here shortly, we're going to be getting Russell on the phone, and we're going to have us a good old time. Outside of that, I hope everybody enjoyed the glyphosate episode and you took something away from it, something you can use while you're out in the field and as you come across these crazy... be careful how I word that. Be careful about how you end up having to handle these types of people, because you have to remember, at some point emotions become the driving factor, become the driving force behind the decisions that are made. Because you have to remember, what kind of state of mind does somebody have to be in when they come at you and accuse you of poisoning the neighborhood? That's a pretty rough statement. That's a bold statement, and normally most people don't want to invite that kind of confrontation. Now, of course, there's all kinds of different people out there, so you never know what you're going to come across. But still, it takes a little extra. You know, I mean, you got to be just a. You know what I mean? It's so. Anyway, I hope you were able to take away something from that. So in the meantime, y'all bear with me just a second here. I'm going to get old Russell Skipper on the line, and let's have us a good old lawn care conversation. All right, we put the bat signal out. It needs just a little bit of time here, and then we'll get him on and have us a good old time, a good old conversation. Almost didn't make the show again today. Lab days are fun days, but sometimes they can be a little intense. And you know what's sad is I actually took my GoPro with me today, and I didn't even turn it on. We could have had some great conversation there, or at least some good kind of content to discuss. But some good radio content. Uh-oh, look what we got here. Let's see. Russell Skipper!
What's up, man?
What are you doing, dude?
I am backing up the truck to hold in the house.
Excellent. Are you done for the day?
Yeah, I can be. Yes.
Yeah. You're done enough for the day?
Yeah, we're done.
Is it? Are you getting any rain?
We got rain yesterday. It was like 5 to 6 inches.
5 to 6 inches. Wow. I guess that was kind of was that the tail kind of left over from the hurricane?
Yeah, the hurricane came right through, man. Came right through.
Goodness gracious.
Are we on the air right now?
We are right here. We are on the air. Do you want me to block it off real quick, and then I can take a break, and that'll give you about 3 minutes if you want to get situated.
Yeah, let me change my clothes real quick, and then yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, 10-4. All right.
All right.
All right. There you go. You heard it. He said, "Hang on, give me a minute. I gotta change clothes. I gotta get out of this. I'm trying to back up a truck, and you're over here blowing me up, man." I don't miss those days. All right, so you heard the man. Give me a minute. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, yes, John, I couldn't turn him up for the time being because he was turned back this way behind himself, trying to back up a truck, and of course I call right in the middle of it when I shouldn't have been calling. I probably should have sent a text first and was like, "Hey, Russell, we're ready to go whenever you want." But I'm not a very good host in that way. I kind of freewheel things. I don't. It gets a little muddy when you're trying to work off a script and all that fun stuff. I understand organizing your thoughts, but you gotta. When it's scripted, it feels forced, and forced isn't the kind of radio I personally like to listen to. I don't know what kind of radio you like to listen to, but I can tell you what kind of radio I like to listen to. Oh boy, here we go. Saving up the backing up excuses for the misses. John, I'm going to tell Russell you said that, and let me tell you, he's a big boy. You remember me talking about people that have freaky hand strength? Guess what? Russell's one of those guys, and I have a feeling, John. I know you're an IT professional, so that gives you a special set of skills. I'm not debating your skills. I know you've got skills. But I'm telling you, John, you do not have Russell Skipper freaky hand strength skills. And if I had to guess, he could reach through your chest plate, grab your heart, and squeeze it till it burst. I'm kidding. He would never do that. He would never do that. I don't know where I was going with it. I don't know why I said that. I'm kidding, John. That was terrible. I feel guilty for even making that joke. As I was thinking it, before I was saying it, it sounded funny, and then after I said it, I realized how disgusting it was. I shouldn't have done that. Or the power of the ginger, says Patrick Beeman. That's right. We got the Redhead Coalition in lawn care. I forgot about that. One time, there was a lot of y'all. We got John Pajak with the reddish beard. I wouldn't say he's a full redhead like you, Russell, and of course Russell's children have superpowers as well. We know that. I've met both of them. He's got a darling daughter who's just a total rock star. She's gonna grow up and be the queen of pop one day. I just have this bizarre feeling. All right, real quick, I gotta take. Oh, wait for it. I gotta take a quick break. When we come back, let's jump right on in. You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Every Wednesday night.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Hump Night with The Duck. 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Only on Turfs Up Radio.
Hump day?
We have to put up with this?
The Rock! The hot place!
You're not the top.
Did I say something wrong?
The Duck. On Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the GeoRipper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned GeoRipper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the GeoRipper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
And we're back. Oh man, it's what a shame. This is my favorite song too. Shut up and get off my radio. Russ, are you there, sir?
I'm here, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
So you got whammied with the hurricane right in the middle of pre-emergent season?
Yep.
That doesn't sound like a good time.
Nope. 6 inches.
What are you planning on here? Are you going to go ahead and tell somebody to send you about a dozen cases of Tribute Total, or are you just going to let it ride?
We'll see what happens. I don't know. We will definitely see what happens. But we might. That's probably going to lead to some breakthrough. I'll give you that. So.
Well, hopefully not too much. And Russell, before you came on, I was kind of telling everybody about just a brief kind of introduction, a very, very generalized overview. So I guess if you could give us a little more specifics, you know, what did you used to do, and then how did you move from what you used to do into what you do now? And specifically now, how did you make your break? What was your transition into Furt and Squirt?
So I've been doing landscaping probably close to 20 years now. I did a podcast this morning with another friend of mine. But long story short, I started mowing grass when I was in middle school. Got some Atlanta Braves players' yards for a firefighter. You know, we did Tom Smoltz and John Glavin and Greg Maddox. They all lived in one of the prestige neighborhoods in Atlanta back when. So I'm 36 now, so I would have been in middle school then.
Golly, you're 36?
I am 36 now.
Man, you got old as shit. What happened?
Life, man. Life happened. So I got kids now and a wife. And wrinkles to show it. Yeah, balding too. So that's always a plus.
Yeah, me too.
I got, you know, I've always had a passion for landscaping growing up, even being a little kid. I remember being 6, 7, 8 years old and putting ponds in my backyard with my dad. So I always had a passion for landscape. My brother had a maintenance division. He had about 125 year-round accounts. Was subcontracting out the spraying. And that kind of was like, you know, I can do this. You don't have to pay him. You know, let me get my license. Let me learn. So I kind of self-taught myself. And then from there, he sold out to another company. That company kind of kicked me to the curb because it was a family-owned company. And then I went to work one of the largest commercial maintenance companies in Georgia, basically in the United States, pretty much. I learned how to do large-scale installation jobs there. And then from there, I was moonlighting, spraying lawns after work. You know, I was working 60 hours a week there at that landscape job, and then I would spray 5, 6, 7 yards every night until it was dark, and work on Saturdays. And so now we're at right now. So.
Yeah. So, and we don't have to use the name of that company, but okay. So you started spraying lawns, and did you immediately? So you're saying you immediately went into business for yourself, or where you were doing it on the weekends, or was it one of those things that you got you kind of got started working for somebody else, and then worked your way up into opening your own business? What was the specifics there?
So I was working for somebody else, getting my full-time paycheck, you know, because spraying lawns, there's not a lot of money in it starting off. You know, 5, 6, 7 yards is not going to pay your bills. So you know, I was always working at that landscape company, you know, paying my household bills that way. And then all the time I had my license. I was legit. I had a pickup truck I drove to that job, and then with my spray tank in the back, I would leave. So, you know, 5, 6, 7 yards turned into 15 yards and 30 yards. And now we're right at the brink of 1,000 yards. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, Russell, I know a little bit about your history that everybody else is probably not privy to, and it was when you really got going, you were doing primarily commercial work, and you were doing mega acreage as a solo operator. Mega acreage.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So
tell us, what was that like taking on where you went? Did you go from like 30 lawns to all of a sudden taking on 200 acres, or was it a gradual transition?
So when I left that company, we decided on an acreage price. So basically that company I used to work for, we spray a good bit of their lawns now, good bit of their properties. And they gave me 50 or 60 properties to start off with the first year. Second year, we nearly had all of them. And then the third year, I sprayed every single one of the properties. So we definitely went up from, so I probably had 150 residentials, and then we had 250 commercials. So.
And when you say, when I'm talking about large acreage, like give me a rundown of when you're doing this commercial work, what is your average acreage, you say, on like one of these commercial properties?
Average would be 1.5 acres, but our truck, when I was back then, and even now, our commercial truck won't roll in the shop until it's sprayed 10 acres that day. So every day it goes out, it sprays 10 acres.
And to put that into perspective, okay, so I'll kind of give everybody who's listening at home, because you may be thinking to yourself, well, okay, what is 10 acres, right? And to put that into perspective, you know, a lawn care company that's going out and doing residential lawns all day, where, you know, you're going from house to house, subdivision to subdivision, neighborhood to neighborhood, you may be doing, you know, 140,000 square feet. You may be doing 150,000. On a big day, you may do 200,000 square feet. So we're talking like 3 acres, 4 acres, on the high end doing 5 acres. But you have positioned yourself where you're going out and you're cranking out at a minimum, you're doing 10 acres a day.
Yeah. So we're doing 40 to 50 acres a week. There's some properties that are, you know, 14 acres big. You know, there's one property we have that's 14 acres. So we're there at one property all day.
That I personally, as an applicator, you know, that's how I prefer. I don't like going from house to house, because you lose your rhythm in the drive time. You know, you get a little cool, or you start eating a gas station burrito or something, you know, and you don't want to get back outside and get blasted with the heat again.
Yeah.
So okay, now Russell, you're up to almost 1,000 now. So what were the steps you started taking? Okay, that I kind of know the inside story, so I may kind of lead you down a line of questioning here. But when you was it always okay? When you really decided, you made the conscious decision, okay, I'm going to grow this business. I can either stay where I'm at and continue to be a solo operator, or I can really take this to the next level. Was there a specific instance where you were like, damn it, I'm tired of this and I got to grow it? Or did it just kind of happen organically?
It kind of happened organically, but that commercial company kept on giving me more and more accounts, and it's kind of hard to turn down basically free money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I realized I couldn't do it all by myself. And I was like, well, if I don't do these properties, I'm turning down money. So then I was like, all right, so let's get some stuff in place. And the first thing I did, and, you know, my wife, Amber, she runs the office for me. I went to GIE maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and we bought Real Green software. And I told Amber, I was like, it's going to be the best thing ever. And she's like, it costs this much money a month and blah, blah, blah. I was like, but it can do this and this and this. So that was the pivotal point, is getting a good software to track everything, to make things better, billing. Because, I mean, now, just say with these 1,000 properties, you go there 8 times a year for 8 rounds. That's 8,000 stops that you have to keep track of. Kind of hard to do that with pencil and paper. So that was the first thing that we did. Was get a good software. So we use Real Green for that aspect.
So Real Green was the big game changer for you. And when you started working with Real Green, is that where you kind of I guess you felt a little more secure in your expansion? Like I guess you kind of felt like you had a blueprint to continue to grow.
Yes, yeah, and the reason why I say that is because Joe Bob can get on a truck and I'll have everything he needs on that tablet: the stop, the size, the specific, you know, details of that property. So pretty much anybody can do it. I mean, obviously after they're trained or whatever. So that took all that. It started putting systems and processes in place, which you have to have growing a company. And as a sole operator, you don't have those because it's all in your head. But at some point, you have to get all that crap out of your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you have to get it out of your head, and you have to start trusting people, employees and stuff like that, which is hard for a solo operator, but it's the only way you can grow. So.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and go into that line of questioning. What was it like bringing on a new employee and having to hand over your baby. And what did you hand over?
Okay, so when I hired my first employee, obviously I was out on a machine. At that time, I had a Z-Spray. So obviously I couldn't train him right off the bat to run the Z-Spray. It was quicker to train him doing a hose and push spread. So in that aspect, I gave him all the residentials, and they handled that. I had a guy, he was a Marine, and one day he came to the house and gave us his keys, and he quit, no-show kind of thing. Didn't have any rhyme or reason. Just said he couldn't work by himself. He had some PTSD issues, and I totally understand with him, you know what I mean? So that left me in a predicament. So now I have 500 properties I got to get done by myself, and, the acreage is 300 acres or whatever it is around. So then I realized, I got to hire somebody pretty quick. I had a buddy of mine that had his nephew was a young guy, 19, 20 years old. He got me through 3 or 4 months, and then I hired my full-time guy.
I remember when that guy worked for you, and how, and I think really that's is kind of an interesting topic of people want to know when they start getting into lawn care, what can you expect when you get into lawn care? And I try to describe what it is of being in a truck by yourself in your head all day. And if you're not comfortable with that, it can be, I guess, a little overwhelming for some people. I don't know anything different, so it would be hard for me to imagine it any other way. I guess it's like now trying to work with other people as part of a team. It's more difficult for me than it is to work independently by myself.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I can have some good conversations with myself and enjoy them.
Yeah, those are the best ones, right? Those are the best ones. But, like today, I had one tech going out. So we purchased a new company over the last weekend. So I had one tech going out. I think we sprayed 60 lawns today. So I had one tech going out. He did a route. We were doing a route. And I had another tech with me, and he was spot spraying. God bless Kalinga and sedges. And this guy left these properties in horrible, horrible shape. So we're trying to get them cleaned up for these customers. And, it was kind of nice riding in the truck with one of my guys, just talking with him and, little camaraderie. So.
Yeah. And kind of understand what makes developing that understanding, what makes the other person tick too.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Does his brain function normally? You can be honest with me. If it doesn't, tell me.
No, it functions normally. And believe it or not, he's 25 and he can rationally think about things. You know what I mean? He realizes that the stuff going on now and in the world is not right. And, he's not all one-minded. He thinks about any way and other things that could happen. And he always thinks about all the sides before he makes a decision, which is very rare for those younger guys. So, yeah, he's a good guy. So.
All right, Russell, I got to take a break real quick. Can you hang on through the break?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I accidentally muted myself. If y'all could bear with me just 1 second here. We gotta pay a couple bills. Oh, this is Russell's favorite song right here. I knew I was gonna be going into the break with this. All right. This is Russell Skipper of Solid Green Lawn and Landscape, formerly Solid Ground. We could talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey
Hey, Green Industry Pros, are you new to Turfs Up Radio and want to learn more? Then plug in your earphones and keep listening, because Turfs Up Radio invites you to listen while you work. Our 24/7 live radio platform keeps you up to date, bringing you new tips and interviews from pros like you who want to elevate and educate the green industry. Can't make it to industry shows or events? Don't worry. Turfs Up Radio will be there bringing you live coverage, getting you in on the action. So keep listening to Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of The Green Veteran here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's The Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, Green Industry Pros, Turfs Up Radio is celebrating what a great first year we had and wants to give you $100 just for being involved. That's right. All you have to do is visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 and follow a few easy steps. When you hear your name live on the radio, we're going to send you a crisp $100 bill. So be sure to visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 to claim your cash. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Yeah. Ha! Ha! All right, well, we're back, and we've got Russell Skipper on the horn. All right, Russell. So what I did not tell everybody is, where are you? Where do you live? What market do you operate in?
Okay, so we live in Monroe, Georgia, which is in between Atlanta and Athens, and we have some of the biggest competition in the nation in our area, just because the Atlanta market's so booming and there's so many people that live here. But I wanted to, like my guys, they're probably listening on this podcast, on this radio. I would say I have probably the best team right now that I have ever with my employees now. You know, they're out spraying right now, getting stuff done, so I can be on the radio with you guys. But every year after year, you know, I hire better and better guys, and you know, we get them trained correctly, and it's making my life easier, and we can in turn, you know, pay them more and reward them more. You know, so, but yeah, I'm in the Atlanta market, man. So.
And I mean, there's nothing easy about the Atlanta market. I mean, when you take a look at the lawn and landscape top 100, you know, how many of those companies have maybe not even just one location there, but multiple locations there? And you know, what is it? How many locations does True Green have in the Atlanta area?
I have no idea. Probably 10, maybe. I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers on True Green, but I mean, even like a smaller customers, you know, and there's 3 or 4 of those in the Atlanta market that have 45, 50,000 customers, which is crazy, you know?
Golly.
Yeah, we're not even talking about a True Green there. We're talking about just a normal, you know, a regular spray company. So it's crazy, man.
Yeah, and we'll kind of put that into perspective. So we're talking about multiple companies here, and you know, we'll say an average, and this is just a pure total average, that if you're averaging $500 a client per year, and that's not a factual number, that's just a general round number. Yeah. But you have 40,000 accounts. You're talking about that's $20 million a year in revenue, and there's multiple companies that are generating that in the Atlanta area alone. That is a difficult place to operate in.
Yes. So I think where you're leading me into this question. So what makes us different than those guys is we market ourselves as the premier, you know, weed control and fertilization company in Georgia. So you're going to pay a little bit more with us. You know, that's just the way it's going to be. And we have a reason why. I mean, you're going to get better customer service. You're going to get better service, better quality products. And you're not going to get the horror stories of the guy that has to spray 45 lawns today and he's going to skip 6 backyards. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't happen. My guys, they know if they do that, they're fired. So that's what separates us from our competition.
And that's a real thing too, that people may not realize how common it is, that when you have a company of a certain size and you have employees out on the road, as a company, you have to have goals and objectives of what you're going to get accomplished for that day. And when you put that responsibility on someone who may not be able to handle that kind of responsibility, you end up running into these scenarios where you start getting phone calls and they say, listen, your guy showed up and I have him on the camera in the front yard, but not in the backyard on the camera at all. And so, but he left a bill and left a note that he sprayed the whole yard. Yeah.
And that comes to a whole other thing. I mean, you got to be a special kind of stupid to not do a backyard when everybody has a ring camera on the front and back door or some type of surveillance. You know what I mean? So they know that you didn't do that backyard, and in essence, that's stealing. You know what I mean? And then what makes it harder for little guys like me is not only do we have the stigma of spraying pesticides and herbicides and stuff like that people are like, oh my God, you're killing the earth. But then you have the whole other aspect of, well, are you really going to treat my whole yard? You know what I mean? Because the other company, I saw them pull up in my truck and fill paperwork out and stick it on my front door and leave. So
we have a colloquial term for that. It's called ghosting. Is what we use within the industry. Is that if you leave a bill on the door and you don't treat it as ghosting. And once it happens to a customer and their lawn gets ghosted, from that point forward, it's ingrained. There's a certain amount of distrust that you are fighting an uphill battle with that customer probably for the rest of your relationship, because they'll be under the impression that if you do make a treatment and they do not see the results they expect, the immediate interpretation of that result is, well, maybe you didn't treat it at all. Yeah, for sure. My guys know that when they show up to a lawn and they get halfway through a lawn and they have to go use the restroom, there's some emergency restroom break, because that stuff happens. To give me a call so I can let the homeowner know, that he'll be back in 5, 6, 8 minutes to treat the rest of the lawn. But you just got to be open. Communication is just the biggest key with anything. But on that same note, there was I think my second technician that worked for me, he worked for one of the big national companies, and he told me, he said, Russell, they don't give me enough water in my truck to complete my whole route. So that in itself, that puts a moral, dilemma on that employee that, you can't get your whole route done because you don't have enough water in the tank. So then, I couldn't work for a company like that. You know what I mean? It's you get put into these situations, and there's no secret. I've worked in commercial lawn care, and I've had great experiences there. Where I worked for one company that you did everything right, and no matter what it took, you always did what was right. But then at the other time, you were for other commercial companies, and it's always you come in with a number. And it has to be a certain number. And if you don't have that certain number, then you don't come back in no matter what.
Right. So, yeah.
And it puts people in a weird position. And I feel like it also, I feel like it kind of breeds technicians like you or like me or our buddy, Josh Whitaker. When you get put into those situations, it's hard for you to emotionally recover from that, because you don't ever want to have to go through that again. And in fact, you'll put it upon yourself to make sure you never go through that again. And so the beautiful thing about it, though, is that it kind of creates these scenarios where you get to take everything you've experienced, everything you've witnessed, or what you hear from people as you go out and you knock on doors and you introduce yourself and you're selling your business. You hear these things, and it kind of helps you form and mold the groundwork of what your personal company culture is.
Yeah. So, like I said, our company culture is, we're going to do a little more than our competitors, but we're going to do things right. You're going to get results, and you're going to have one of the best looking lawns on the street. So, we don't, and there's a lot of I say promises and stuff like that. Well, I tell them, what's going to happen. And then there's results that back it up. So, all those bad experiences they've had with other companies, hopefully we can change them one at a time. And so.
Well, I know personally, and if you said you got your guys listening, you feel free. You don't have to answer as deeply as you want, but I know you have been through significant amounts of pain to get to where you are. So I wanted to ask you, give us a few examples of some of those pain points that really help motivate you to get to where you are now, or even pain points where you thought you would never make it to where you are now.
Oh, I mean, there's been times. I mean, there's $100 in the checking account. You know what I mean? I mean, it's straight up. But as a business owner, you have this mindset of never quit, never quit, never quit. And then you get a check in, and you can pay your, always this ebbs and flows. As a new business owner, and where I'm at in my business, all the money that we make, profit wise and stuff like that, I'm putting that back out into marketing, making sure we have the best equipment and stuff like that, so that my guys, can get the job better, get the job done easier and better quality. But I would say it never gets any better. And I tell my guys that. I mean, every day, it's stressful as a business owner. It's not all, fun and games. And I was on a podcast this morning, and it was, the decisions never get any better. But I will tell you this: the best thing that I've ever done is Don Zerbe is actually probably listening to this with Eco Lawn in Ohio. He got me.
Great guy, by the way.
He recommended me. He is an awesome guy. He recommended me to a mentoring group, and those guys have helped me tremendously to make the right decisions, to run things before I do things, and to double check things. And with them, I don't think I'd be where I'm at. I mean, without them, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. And at some point, you have to humble yourself and take advice from other people. You have to shut your mouth and listen, because these guys have, collaboratively in that group, probably, I don't know, maybe 400 years of experience, that they've made mistakes before me, and they say, hey, no, don't do that. This is where that decision is going to lead you at. So I can kind of cheat, for instance, and bypass those mistakes that they made and make the straight, easy way to my goal, whatever that means. So, yeah.
No, I'll say this lovingly. You and I both know Don Zerbe's 400 years old. So, he does have that 400 years of spring experience, but but it's not cheating, Russell. What that is learning through the mistakes of your peers and capitalizing on their willingness to share and corroborate and collaborate with one another. And there's a certain thing about that in the green industry that I feel like it's more and more becoming socially acceptable. But, I can remember when I first got into this, when you saw another competitor for another company, when you're driving down the road, you held your middle finger out the window.
Right.
And I don't know why it's changing. Is it because of social media? Is it because of the collective pressure that's coming down on the industry that's changing things? I don't know what it is, but the fact that it is changing is extremely encouraging. Yeah,
I would agree. But, you still have those butthole companies out there that, you leave the bill for $56 and they want to do it for $42. You still have those people that just want to do volume work and not, have good profit margins. And, that's frustrating. And believe it or not, True Green, they are, they're bringing their pricing up, and they're not those people. I'm talking more of a local people to me. They have a pretty good amount of customers too, but I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors by just busting money off. You know what I mean? So, that's where I've learned with this business group that you can go out do less work and make more money, you know what I mean, versus having to bust out 40 lawns a day, making the same amount of money as you can spraying 20 or 25 yards, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, and every year, I think the allure is, the general reputation within the green industry of the Furt and Squirt company is that, there's so much more money in it. There's so much more money in it. And in reality, is there actually more money in it, or is it just better margins, or just a higher risk, higher reward type scenario? Because I feel like, and this is just my experience, really, if you're concerned, if your big concern is top line revenue, landscape construction is going to bring in much higher dollar revenues than any other aspect of the business.
Yeah, but I think dollar for dollar profit margin wise, so the business we acquired, all he does now is irrigation repair. He's got 5 trucks doing that. That is where the high profit margins are at, is in irrigation repair. You know what I mean? Because you have a stick or two of pipe, but you're charging $75 to $100 an hour. You know what I mean? With a minimum trip charge. And you have a $2 stick of pipe and 2 swipes of glue. You know what I mean?
Don't make it sound so fun.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? That is where, they don't, as a shit, man, Matt, all these new ones that we just got, I'm having to spray MSM. I'm having to spray Dickens. I'm having to spray Spectacle. You know the cost on all that stuff to clean all that up.
Yeah, it adds up incredibly fast. And the other thing, too, is that you're the new guy on the block, too. So immediately out of the gate, you have to do something to impress them. So it's not like you can just come on, you take on all these new companies, and of course there's a cost to acquire all those, and immediately the number one goal is, I've got to start recuperating my costs. But then you show up to make your application and you realize I'm not recuperating my costs the rest of this year, because I've got to get down my spectacle. I've got to get rid of all this damn duckweed or goosegrass or whatever the case may be. And you're buying Revolver or whatever the case may be, and like, gosh, man.
Yeah. So this first couple rounds and get them done, and then we'll start making profit next year on those. But that's actually after they get cleaned up, because they've been neglected for a couple months, and it's just relentless down here in Georgia in the South. We have weed pressure year round, no matter what. You do in Tennessee, so there's no snowfall that sits on the ground down here, so there's weed pressure all year round, and we get hit freaking Poana, and then in the summertime, now we're getting doveweed and Kalinga and chamber bitter and Virginia buttonweed, all that bullcrap and worm seeds and grasses. It's not getting easier. So, it deters people trying to get into it. So I guess that's a plus, because it could be so overwhelming.
Yeah, the cost for an acquisition is never just the transaction amount. It's the cost of building a new relationship, and the time commitment to build a new relationship, and how short of a leash are you actually on in the eyes of that new account that you picked up? Are you running into any kind of situations where there's an immediate distrust, or has all that gone?
Yes.
Okay.
So Amber called one yesterday, and she said, my yard looks so horrible, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm just going to cancel. And I was like, well, Amber talked to her for 40 minutes on the phone. We started together, just said, give us a try. And I spent 30 minutes after I did her treatment, because I was spraying her yard and my guy was spot spraying. And I literally spent 30 minutes, winning over her trust, and telling her that we're not the other guys. We're not this kind of company, And she finally believed. But I spent probably an hour and a half today talking with customers that I could have been out doing production. But at the end, that's what I'm there for. I'm the salesman. I'm the face of the company, and I'm okay with that. But it's just frustrating hearing over and over and over that our yards are looking, and their yard did look bad. It looked bad, but what we put down today, it's going to be cleaned up in a week or two. So. You know what I mean? Because I don't have a choice, because if they don't see results, they're going to something else. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
Yeah, and there's two ways to approach it. Now, the kind of what you have in your favor is that you have the transition. You know, we're eking into the transition now, and we're not too terribly far away from the first frost. And when that happens, obviously that's going to alleviate massive pressure on you because you get to rely on the efficacy of your pre-emergent. And I know you run a very badass pre-emergent program, so that's where you get to make up a lot of headway from that point moving forward. But to get to that time frame, 6, 8, 10 weeks, that's hairy.
Yeah, but now is the best time to pick these ones up because we know we're putting those pre-emergents down, and then I know coming into January, February, we're going to be clean and we can build up off that. And then in the summertime, we can work on fertility and getting that yard dark ass green. And then they're sold. You know what I mean? They're going to weed free dark green lawn. Then they're good to go. The trust is built then. So I think now is the best time because if I would have waited, let's say this acquisition happened in January, and who says he puts down the right rates of the pre-emergent? Then I got to battle poana and chickweed and henbit. So I think now is the best time to do it.
Yeah, could you imagine doing that in May where you've missed your whole pre-emergent window and then all of a sudden you find out in late May that no pre-emergent was applied? Oh my goodness.
Spraying, 8 to 10 inch tall henbit. You've been there before. You know what I mean? And you're putting down, you're supposed to be saying that 2 gallons, but you have to soak the stuff from top to bottom so you're using more product. And then I can only imagine, man. Yeah.
So, all right, Russell. So, tools. What are the tools of the trade? Actually, hang on. I got a question here. Somebody asked a question.
Yeah.
And
what's the question?
They said, Russell, have you ever had an employee mess up an application? And if so, how did you handle it?
I have not. Well, okay. So I haven't had anybody burn up a yard or anything like that. I've had my commercial tech this year. It was my bad. It was some training issues that I didn't have trained completely. So there were some burn marks and some streaking marks. But other than that, we're talking about warm season grass, so it pretty much recuperates. We would go back if it was really bad and spray some Renova on it to get it cleaned up and not cleaned up, get it fixed quickly. But other than that, I'm at the shop in the morning. When my guys go out. And I'm not watching over them, but I'm still supervising what's going on, when they're mixing, because, MSM is kind of a dangerous chemical, if the mix rate's not right. But I've been blessed. Just, you have to reiterate what these chemicals do and the rates and how precise you have to be with the rates. But other than that, no, I really haven't had any problems like that, knock on wood. But who says that it won't happen in the future? So.
Yes, and Grace, I can tell you from my own experience, I have had that happen, and again, it was another situation where it was entirely my fault, where I did not have the person properly trained, and I sent them out with bags of 4600 and. Yeah, Russell, you remember our old trick we used to do with 4600 and
yeah, I do. That was some badass results, wasn't it?
It was. And so anyway, I had an employee doing that, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because it's kind of me and Russell's thing. And so anyway, he was making those applications and took out 5 yards in the neighborhood because. I didn't adequately describe and practice spreader calibration, and it is a very, very awful situation to be in, but you have to get out in front of it. As soon as you see it happen to one, you check on all of them that was completed that day, and even if there is no sign of damage, you go ahead and get in front of it and explain what happened, and there may be something that takes place, and you'll do whatever is necessary to make it right by them and give them a couple of options that would obviously not be as competitively detrimental to the company, so if I went out and said, listen, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to reside every one of these, well, you may be at $25,000, $35,000, $45,000, $50,000, and that may, put the company in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Or you can say, listen, if you can give me a little bit of time, because it would obviously, this would put me out of business if I did this. Give me the opportunity to fix it the way I know how. It may take a little longer, but I'll get it there, I promise. Then a lot of times what I have found, if I'm honest and open and transparent about things, it works out in my favor, and it's not so catastrophic. And I've done it from misapplied herbicide. You know me, Russell. I get a little buck wild out there sometimes and do some stupid stuff. So
was that Grace that was asking the question?
Yes.
Okay, so to Grace's question, the bigger you get, and I'm learning this now, is you want to make it as foolproof as possible. You want to be able to let my techs can mix on site if they need to. I give them the freedom to do that. They'll call me and say, "Hey, Russell, I got doveweed. I got this in the tank. What should I add?" I will tell them, "Hey, run this rate of chemical, add it to it. Make sure you log it in the notes that we added it to this property." So if you want to scale your business, you want to have systems and stuff in place, and that's where I'm working on right now with my business group. They're helping me put systems in place to grow to the next level. But you want to try to make it as foolproof as possible, but still give those guys responsibility, because if you just treat them like robots, they have no responsibility, then they don't feel like they're part of the company. So.
Yeah, personal responsibility goes a long way, and I feel like that when you're by yourself all day, you have to have that sense of personal responsibility, and exactly like you described, your employer giving you that little bit of freedom to be able to make a judgment call, because in lawn care, it's all about judgment calls, especially from the professional standpoint. Every day is judgment call after judgment call after judgment call. And hopefully you can provide the training and the systems, as you described, to be able to make as accurate of judgment calls as you possibly can. And you talk about foolproofing things. In manufacturing, there's a system called Poka-yoke, which is kind of a derogatory term, but it stands for idiot-proofing things. And it's just it's a set of systems laid out to ensure that if the system is followed exactly, it is theoretically impossible to make a mistake, whether in terms of safety or product quality or in this instance application quality, whatever the case may be. But that's that actual term is Poka-yoke in the manufacturing world. Russell, you're actually real quick. I got to take a break. Can you hang on with me for a little while longer?
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. All right, hang on one second.
All right, man. Yeah.
I was not expecting this song. I hope you're enjoying the conversation here. We're going to start talking about tools of the trade when we come back, because I know Russell and I, we agree on some tools, and we are on the opposite ends of the spectrum on other tools. And so I think it would at least be a fun thing to discuss. And for people that are out there that you're starting to weigh, and thinking, well, if I expand my business in this direction, kind of get an idea of what that cost is from an equipment standpoint as well, then we'll start moving into operational costs, because I think that's also an important thing, is that it sounds good and it sounds fun. Yeah, I can just put a sprayer on my truck and go make money. But is it really that simple? You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Every Wednesday night.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Hump Night with The Duck, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Only on Turfs Up Radio.
Hump day?
Do we have to put up with this?
The Rock! The hard place!
You're not the top.
Did I say something wrong?
The Duck on Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the GeoRipper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned GeoRipper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the GeoRipper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Welcome back. All right. We got Russell Skipper here of Solid Green, and you know what? We'll kind of get into the rebranding you went through, but first let's talk about tools of the trade. What do you bleed? I know you bleed green. Tell everybody.
So we have a steel green. We have this SG46, and we still have my original Z spray that I started my company with.
No way, do you really?
It has 1,700 hours on it, and I will get out there. Yeah, I will get out there, and I will help my guys with it. Yeah. If we've got big properties to get done, I will get on it, and I think it's still a beast, man.
It's I know just how much time you've spent on that. I can't tell you how many hours we've spent on the phone while you've been riding around on that Z spray. That's hilarious. That thing is still in operation and kicking. Obviously, it's no real secret. I bleed Permagreen. I don't know. Do you bleed steel green, or are you just a big fan of that machine?
Okay, so. For me to use the steel green, it's awkward for me. So I'll be straight up honest. It's kind of awkward for me to use a steel green. My guys love the steel green over the Z spray. I mean, I put 1,200, 1,500, 1,400 hours on that Z spray, before my guys got a hold of it. So that's what I'm accustomed to. You know what I mean? But my guys, that steel green goes out every day on my guy's truck, and I used it Monday. One of my guys had to go to the doctor on Monday, and I used it Monday. And the hills I put that steel green on, I couldn't do it with my other machine. Like going down almost like a 30-degree angle, and then turning a 90-degree turn in between a light post on a commercial site. To get through like a little 4-foot light post area between that and the curb. There ain't no way I could do that on a Z spray. I'd be out in the parking lot. So. Do you know what I mean? But
do you remember do you remember when you flipped your Z spray on the backside of, I think, a Leland cypress or a green giant arborvitae at some commercial property one time?
Yeah, I sent down a retention pond. I sent it down a retention pond, but my dumbass got a landscaper to pull me out, right? And I did it 10 minutes later. I went back down the same damn retention pond trying to get it sprayed. So, yeah, it happens to people. And obviously it happens to me because I'm an idiot because I go down the same spot twice. So, that was pretty embarrassing to ask to get pulled out one time and then, hey, I'm in the same spot again. Pull me out again. So, yeah, we were on the phone for that one. I think I was pretty pissed. And you know what? I only had to do like 400 square foot at the end of the day. That was all I had to do. And that was that 13-acre property. And I lose the retention pond. And you know what, Matt? I was so pissed. I had this little pump-up still SG45 little hand can thing, and I lost it down there in that damn retention pond. That was my favorite little spot spray weed because I'd have this death mix in it for Dallas grass and stuff. I just lean over when I was spraying and spray it.
Oh man, I remember the phone calls and how mad you were.
Oh, I was so pissed. Yeah. So I forgot about those days, man.
Yeah.
But as you guys don't know, I probably don't know, but when we were growing our businesses, when you were an LCO, me, you, and Josh would three-way call and talk for hours all day because we were bored out of our minds. And then the funniest conversations was when we go up and talk to our customers, and they'd be in our earbuds, and we could hear them. Like, that lady is an idiot. What is going on with her? Or be like, oh yeah, we'll spray your weeds. And that was the best part, I thought, of just listening to everybody's customers and how sometimes batshit crazy they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would actually help me to hear the way you or Josh were talking to your customers, because the way you may phrase something to a customer, I'm like, oh, I need to put that in the memory bank and use that whenever I'm in that scenario. So that there was actually a very positive function to that. Sometimes though, there was probably some things we said to customers we probably shouldn't repeat on air. I don't remember if you were on the phone or not, but when I lost my mind that I pulled up to a lakefront property that had been scalped down to 1/2 an inch, and I was screaming about the situation. Yeah, and then the guy came outside and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought you were in South Africa.
I remember that.
I didn't know
I remember that.
you were back in America. I am really, really sorry about that." And then I told that story in the PLCA, and I kind of got scolded for it. What was it? Somebody said something about you're really displaying how much professionalism you lack or whatever.
Yeah, at some point in our industry and whatever Facebook groups or whatever, there's got to be a place where we can vent and not be judged. You know what I mean? Because we got to vent it somewhere if it's, so that's why, we have that Right On spreader group. We vent in that group and all the other groups that you have to have a place like that, or you're going to go freaking crazy. So,
yeah, some camaraderie, because when you join a group like that, everybody else. When you describe a situation, someone else in that group has been through the same thing, and they get it. They just get it.
Yeah, all we can do is laugh because we've all been there before. And if you haven't been there, you're gonna be there.
Yeah,
so,
it's coming.
Yeah.
So Steel Green, Z Spray, what are the guys spraying off their truck? What's their setup on their truck?
So we have we have the Isuzu Landscaper, or the Lawnscaper. So we have the Steel Green on that. It's got a 400-gallon tank on it, split 200. So we use a 200-gallon for nurse tank, and then the other 200 has a hose off of it, so you can spray steep hills and stuff like that. My commercial tech went out. What's today? Friday. He went out Wednesday and sprayed a mini golf putt place. So obviously he pulled the hose on that. Then he had to spray a 3-acre shopping center. So that's how that truck comes in beneficial, being able to do both of that stuff. The hose spray off of it and whatever. And then my other truck, we have a 2500 Chevy. It's got a 300/100 split in it. And then we just ordered, I just signed the papers yesterday on another truck. It'll be here end of the year, first of next year. It's a 600-gallon Isuzu. It'll be a 100, 400, 100 split. All 3 different pumping systems and hose reels off of that for the residential setup. And it will, so the 100 be for fescue, 400 be for zoysias and Bermudas, and the other 100 will be for insecticide and fungicide. So just trying to save a couple minutes each stop, purging lines out if there's a fescue on the route or something like that to increase productivity. So.
Yeah, because that can be a giant time suck. I got to ask, with you having an extra 100-gallon tank there, are you gonna start to dabble more into some tree shrub applications with that tank availability?
I don't think so, man. I haven't got into it. I want to perfect the lawn care aspect and grow that. I don't know if we're going to get into tree and shrub. Honestly, I don't know much about it. I know it's pretty simple. I just have to ask some other people about it, but I really haven't got into it. And I know a lot of my competitors do it, so that might be something we do in the years coming on, and maybe adding some mosquito treatments and stuff like that. But right now, I just want to scale the lawn care stuff and grow that, and then maybe 3 or 4 years from now, send out a marketing letter that we offer mosquito control and tree and shrub, and then add those services onto their account. So,
what kind of pumps are you running? I gotta know.
So you know, man, they don't know. So we only run the GNC piston pump.
Yes.
So
yes.
So yes, yeah, the 530 GNC piston pump is all what we run. And the people that built my truck, they wanted to put on D30? Is that what it is?
The High Pro loser. It's a high loser is what it is.
Yeah. So I told them, I said, either you put it on or leave it blank and I'll go buy one. So, yeah, every one of our trucks has the GNC 530 piston pump, which, I mean, crap, it's like $780 to buy it brand new, and they last 7 years without being rebuilt. It's a no-brainer. So, yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, if there's any kind of equipment Russell and I agree on, it is definitely our GNC pumps. There's, I've never had a pump tolerate the absolute horrific things I have put through my spray tank. You know, whether I did it intentionally or not. You know, and I can remember back this is in commercial lawn care days. We had gotten a bunch of urea and potash in, and we would dissolve, the urea and potash in a tank, go spray or whatever. And the number of times you would have a bag of urea that was not clean and have a bunch of rocks in it. And at one time, we actually got some bags in that were nothing but filler. There was no urea in it. These were 50-pound bags of filler material, which is normally calcium carbonate, like a lime. And boy, you start dumping 300-400 pounds of lime into one of those into your tank. I mean, it was just a total disaster. And you can hear your pump just grinding on these rocks in your tank, and you get it all drained, and you vacuum hose it, and it kept performing without having to rebuild it. We ended up rebuilding them, but it sprayed fine, but we just didn't want to risk getting a bunch of water into the oil, So I just
so GNC piston pump is the best, hands down, in the market for the cost. I mean, I've never used a bean pump. I heard those are pretty badass. But for the money, the GNC is what we go to. So
I have sprayed with a bean pump. It can get a little squirrely, especially if you forget to turn off your PTO while you're driving down the road. You can build up some pressure and rupture a line that way, and it's not just like a little bit of a rupture. It'll go boom.
Gotcha.
It's powerful, you can. I mean, if you wanted to spray the top of a 150-foot oak tree, you could do it with the beam pump. But that's not normally my style, I guess.
Gotcha.
Well, let's. I want to talk about. You talk about your wife Amber being involved in the business. Yep. I want to talk about how. And how critical has she been in helping you scale your business?
Okay, so, talking on the phone a couple of years ago, you and I were on the phone. I literally had a nervous breakdown in the middle of a property because I bought a new truck to me at that time. It had engine problems. It was in the shop for like 2 months, still wouldn't get fixed. And Amber and I, that was probably 3 years ago. No, it was probably longer than that, maybe 5 years ago. We pulled every bit out of our savings to get that truck fixed in my growing season. And we were sharing one truck at that time. But to go with Amber is, so I called Amber and I was like, hey, I'm ready to sell. This is no fun. It's like, we're going to lose everything. And she's like, no, let's calm down. Let's get this figured out. So she talked me through that. And whenever I have this crazy, I don't have those crazy times anymore, but when I did in in the past, she would talk me through it. But that nervous breakdown I had at that property, I still remember the property I was at. It was a waste management distribution center. And she said, well, what can I do to help you? So now she handles all the scheduling for residentials. She handles all the collecting and billing, and she handles, all the phone calls like, hey, I don't think, when are all the call aheads and all that kind of stuff. So at one point I was doing all that myself, and I couldn't do it anymore. The stress was too much. So Amber, my wife, is a big part of my company.
Yeah, and she's awesome, by the way. I love Amber to death. I love your whole family to death. And I was laughing. Last time I was down there and visiting you, you were dealing with kind of a cranky customer. and I remember she was like, hang on, y'all talk. I'll go take care of this. And then she came back down and was all smiles and stuff. And I was like, wow, how can you smile after that?
Yeah. She has a way of talking to people. I mean, like literally today, I did a dumb thing today. I was spraying lawns. I literally left the gate open in somebody's yard that I normally do not do. This is a new customer that we just purchased. And I'm like, man, I was a dumbass. I left that gate open. It wasn't my guy. It was me. And, the lady called me and left a message saying, hey, my dog almost got out, blah, blah, blah. Well, Amber called her and told her we were, really, really apologetic and we're sorry, it will never happen again. But she put that fire out that I would have to put, and it was my freaking fault. So to her, she gets all the kudos. So,
And how much has that helped you focus on the business, having her take away that pressure? I mean, would you say that's a huge proponent for you being able to take on?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And then, and then at some point when you really want to grow, you have to get off the truck. I mean, you have to. Like today, I was in the field today, and I normally am not in the field anymore. But I literally had like 6 or 8 phone calls of new customers while I'm trying to spray. And I can't give them the time or the quality of conversation. I do the best I can in the field, but it's not, you know what I mean? While I'm trying to get work done. And that's where if you're going to grow the company, you need to have good people to do the production and handle the office. And then that way you can answer the phone like you should and go on sales calls and go on sales appointments. So you really can't grow the company if you're in the field. And people will say, well, I'll do production in the morning and then I'll do sales in the afternoon. That works for a while, but then what if you can do 20 sales calls from 8 to 1 o'clock? You know what I mean? So at some point you have to get off the truck. So
there's no doubt about it. It's at some point you literally reach a crossroads of what's impossible from a time perspective, from a psychological perspective. It just becomes impossible, and it will limit your ability to grow because you can't do it all.
Yeah. If I go out and I sell 3 or 4 a day, we add them to the route. When I get back, I spend a couple hours on the computer, add them to the route. Oh, we just service those cars that would be in the area, and then it's already done. It's added. And it was done a week before. So, and my guys know, the team I have together right now, they know where we're going to take this company. They know that this is going to be a growing company. We're going to be, a big contender in the Atlanta market, and they're willing to take that ride with me. And, they're excited for that. So it's been good this year. So.
Patrick Beeman said, do you have a call sheet or a script you use for inbound calls or customer communications, anything like that?
Do I have a script?
Uh-huh.
No, I do not. No, I just call them up and just talk to them like a normal human being. They just want to be they just want to be talked to like a normal person. They don't want to be, like everybody. They just want to be normal. Everybody just wants to be normal. And no, I'm not going to do a script. It's going to be off the fly. That comes with years of selling jobs. How people are reacting to an answer, and then you can kind of there's stuff I have in my toolbox. If I feel like I'm not going to get the sale or whatever, I'll pull some cards out or something like that tend to work. You know what I mean? But it's all off the fly. You know what I mean? And when you get bigger, you're going to have reviews on Facebook and Google and that kind of stuff. They're going to start calling you for a reason. So therefore, don't be discounting your prices to compete with the competitor. They called you for a reason, and they sought you out for a reason. So don't be cheap to yourself. You know what I mean? So that's been a big help the last couple of years being in that business group. That I was like, I can't ever raise my prices. That's ridiculous. But we've raised our prices year after year after year. Nobody's complained. We haven't had any customers drop. But that helps with inflation. That helps pay my guys more. That helps use better products. So, you have to keep up with the times because your competitors are raising prices. So you have to do it too. So.
Yeah, valuing yourself and crossing that critical threshold there of I don't know. I guess it's there's just a certain fear when you approach it because. And I can just say from experience, I've been in these situations where you're in a difficult sell, right? And you're going hard with answering questions and trying to point to the different issues that they had previously that you're able to solve. And there's just a certain, you just invested 20, 30 minutes into this conversation, and there's still amount of apprehension or unknown that's still floating out there. And then it comes down to the price, and you're like, well, you know what? I've already invested this much time in it. Then I'm going to go ahead and throw a number out here that I know I'm going to get this lawn. And having that reinforcement and that understanding in the back of your head that, yes, you just put that time into it, get paid for it.
Yeah. I would agree with you at some point, but at some point, this is your price and you have to stand firm with it because let's say it's a $50 lawn and they want you to come in at $40. Well, then you just lost, if you do 8 rounds a year, that's $80 a year. That every time you guys or you are on that yard, that's $80 that you could have had that you gave away. So then it kind of becomes resentful. And then, if they're haggling for $10, $80 a year, is that really the ideal customer you want? You know what I mean? So.
Yes, because and then from the applicator point of view too, from that point, every time you're on that property, you're going to remember that as the applicator, and you're like, well, I know I'm not getting paid on this yard, so I've got to get through this and make sure I have no hiccups on this and move through it just as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
So let's talk about building your team. Actually, Russell, can I take a break? I promise it'll be the last break, and then when we come back, can we talk about building the team?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. All right, so again, Russell Skipper, Solid Green Lawn and Landscape here, giving us a brief rundown of where we've been over the last 10 years. And when we come back, let's talk about the big issue. True Hunter, you commented here about starting pay, and I want to talk about a bit what it's like when you're trying to recruit these customers to represent employees to represent your brand, and what navigating that has been like. More coming up after the break. You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process that it's time you checked out the GeoRipper 616? It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned GeoRipper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the GeoRipper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
Hey, Green green industry pros, are you new to Turfs Up Radio and want to learn more? Then plug in your earphones and keep listening, because Turfs Up Radio invites you to listen while you work. Our 24/7 live radio platform keeps you up to date, bringing you new tips and interviews from pros like you who want to elevate and educate the green industry. Can't make it to industry shows or events? Don't worry, Turfs Up Radio will be there bringing you live coverage, getting you in on the action. So keep listening to Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of The Green Veteran here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's The Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right, it came in right as the beat dropped. It was beating and dropping for you, Russell. All right, Russ. The $1 million question in the green industry right now is always employees, recruiting good employees, keeping good employees. Let's just kind of take it from the get-go. I don't think it's any secret what's going on with the labor pool pretty much across the entirety of the United States. Yep. When you were making your hires, what specifically were you looking for out of the employee you wanted to hire?
So some things that I look for are them not thinking about the next step. Like once you show them the process, then they're already, when the process has to happen again, they go ahead and get the extra steps ahead done. So little things like that. And I, be honest with you, both of my guys that I have now, they've never sprayed a lawn in their life, and they're my best technicians. So, I would tell you that. One guy, Bryant, he was with a large commercial company, and so he used zero-turn mowers and stuff like that. So he got the steel green right off the bat last year. I think we got it 2 years ago. Anyways, he got that right off the bat after 2 months of me training him, and now he's my residential tech. But my other tech, James, the commercial tech, it took him about 4 months to learn the steel green. But like I said, he did background checks. So you just have to look for the right personality. Not that they have a horticulture degree from UGA or whatever, but that they have the right personality and the drive to. I think outside the box, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is I'm not going to be going for the old True Green tech that knows all the tricks of scamming people or what, you know what I mean? Like, if that kind of makes sense. So I like my guys green, where I can train them the way I want to train them, and go on that way. So.
Yeah, you made an interesting point there. You hired for the personality, and then you trained them to have all the other characteristics that you wanted. But the big yes. question mark is the personality.
Yes. So hire the CVS cashier that is making $9.75 an hour, that hates his job, that wants to be outside, and you can offer him, $15 an hour starting out or whatever. You got to think outside the box. It's not the guy running on the competitor's truck that you want, per se. It's the guy bagging your groceries that has only made $10 his whole life an hour, that wants the pay increase and wants to better himself and get outside and be his own boss. You know what I mean? So.
And take on the amount of responsibility too, because I think it's always one of those things you don't realize that. I remember when I went to work at True Green, and I feel like this hot shot, walking in there like I've done golf courses, and just so overwhelmed with. I guess I'm gonna say in some instances it kind of felt like freedom, because you were literally handed keys to a truck and you're like, here's a list of properties, go figure it out. You know what I mean? And that can be a little bit overwhelming at first, but and so if you're taking someone, you know, who's coming from a very structured corporate environment, it can be shocking, but at the same time, it could also be really rewarding. Then you get to see such immediate fruits of your labor response. You know, on the weekend, you know, you're out with your girlfriend, you go right around and you go like, hey, I treated that lawn. You're like, wow, that thing looks incredible.
Yeah. So for the people listening, I would tell them to think outside the box. Don't look for the norm. You know, hire personality and go get attitude is what you want. So, you know, you want the guy that's gonna, hey, I need you to spray 4 more lawns. I got to take care of some other stuff. And it's like, all right, man, thank you. You know, I'll get it done. And then they're working till, you know, 6 o'clock at night. They don't really want to, but they're happy to do it because they know that there's a better. You know, some guys, they just get the route done and they're gone. They hang the keys up and gone. That's not the people you want. You know, so.
And it's a well, hang on. We'll kind of come back to that. Well, I'm drawing a blank on which direction I wanted to go. So we'll kind of free will it here.
You're good.
I know. This is what it was. Training. How long does training last at Solid Green?
Okay, so my commercial tech now, I hired him back in. So this year I had one of my good technicians. He was with me going on 3 years. He quit on me out of the blue. So he's been spraying for 8 years. Said he wanted something different. So he went to go work for a pest control company, which was caught me right off guard. I spent all this money on spring marketing, but that's part of being a business owner. So I hired this other guy. And the reason why I hired him was he had a go-get-it attitude. He called back. So he called for the interview, and I said, he came in for the interview and everything like that. And then he called me back 2 days later. He's like, hey, is that position still available? I'd really like it. So I was like, all right, man, you're coming in. So we'll do a working interview. So we do working interviews. We have the legal papers to, if something happens that we're legally not held reliable, responsible. So they'll work with me for a day or two to see if they even want to do it. You know what I mean? So some people are like, screw this. This is not what I want to do. There's some people like, hey, man, this is really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the working interview is a major plus. And so then my commercial tech, it took him 4 or 5 months to learn that machine. I mean, it literally, because you have all these mix rates on the steel grain, you have the 0 turn capability. And this guy went from being a background checker to running this machine. So that took a while to get him. And then we still had some quality issues in the summertime. So basically, I had him ride my other tech in the summer while I went on vacation because I needed my 1 week vacation. And he was like, why are you taking me off the truck? And I was like, it's for my own good. So I had them both ride together, my seasoned residential guy, and them both rode together. And it gave me a week of stress-free relaxation, which I needed at that time. And then I came back and I rode on the truck with him for a week and a half later, maybe a week later, and I showed him the ins and outs of, you get a clog in the hopper and it's streaking the yard, this is how you fix it. And this is what you do with this, and this is what you do with that. He just needed to learn some things that got overlooked in the training. And then after that, he was good. But those machines take a long time to learn.
Weight distribution, just learning how to shift your weight when you're making your turns, and especially the machines you use. I mean, you've got knobs and bells and whistles and phone chargers and all kinds of stuff on it.
Yeah, so it's not easy. Now, if you hire a mowing guy, it's pretty much flawless that way. You just have to show them how to do the spraying aspect. But so yeah. So training is I'll be on a truck as long as I have to till I feel comfortable as a business owner to let them go. And then even at that same aspect, they're like your kids, So when they're not back at the shop, you're their responsibility. So that's what's up.
I can say, from my point of view, I think that's what makes your company really stand out to me is the amount of time you're willing to put into training, because that is so uncommon. Where most people are going to put them through a 2-week video course, and then put them through maybe like driver safety, and then hand them the keys, and it's literally good luck. You learn that the label's the law. You go get your license or whatever the case may be. You learn what a signal word is. You come back at the end of the day. You hook up and fill your truck with who knows what, and then you go spray it the next day. And that is an approach, and a lot of people take that approach. And I'm not to say that it kind of cuts the men from the boys, because some people are going to pick up on it real quickly and ask the questions to show that they want to learn more. But the other aspect too is that you help bring that out of people. One, you hire for personality, and then two, you help develop the technical aspect of it by investing that time into helping them to help them through those hardships that we had to learn when we were on a truck, like fixing a clog hopper, or you making sure you always have hose clamps on the truck, or always making sure you've got a small toolkit, or when your impeller stops spinning in the middle of the day or something. A lot of those, that can be real crippling to production, and it can be crippling to the employee, because they may say, well, I don't want to tell anybody, or, I should be able to figure this out, and then they try and fix it, and they end up breaking something when they try and fix it. So, taking that time and investing in it, that's huge. Huge.
Yeah. So in the summertime, we had some fertilization spreading issues. We got some fertilizer that had some clumps in and stuff, and it just wasn't feeding out the bottom. There wasn't a good pattern from left to right. So I had to show him the pattern. But then, he burned up a couple properties pretty bad. And I told him, I said, hey, these are mistakes that need to be fixed. Like, we can't keep on doing this. But what the thing that he told me that stuck with me was, can I go back and fix those? I'm sorry I did that. Can I go back and fix them? So right there, I knew he was a keeper and a good guy. You know what I mean? Most other guys like, screw off, I messed up, who cares? You know what I mean? He was like, hey, I want to go back and fix it. Tell me how to fix it. So, you know what I mean? That's why I say hire for personality, not for qualification.
Yeah, because you can't teach that. That is either within somebody or it's not.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
All right. What's in the future? What's going to happen with Solid Ground? I said Solid Ground. With Solid Green. Okay. Well, let's talk about rebranding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you do it? When did you decide to do it? And what was it like?
Okay. So for people listening, the name of my incorporated name is Solid Ground Landscape Construction, because I thought I wanted to do all kinds of retaining walls and patio pavers and all kinds of stuff, which we did, starting off, and we still do every now and then now. But when I got into that business group, when I was invited in that business group, my business coach basically said, Russell, your name sucks. he's like, your name sucks. You're a fertilization and weed control company. You sound like a church and financial company. And I was like, really, man? And that was like a slap to my face, because I was like, I spent, like 6 months coming up with this awesome name. You know what I mean? It sucks when you change it. So we did a DBA of Solid Green. And ever since then, the business has grown because it's more weed control fertilization based. I mean, Solid Green. Everybody wants a solid green lawn. So in that aspect, it has taken off, and the rebranding and marketing has been, it's been awesome. So those people that have, like their first name, weed control, like Frank's Weed Control, like at the end of the day, that's cool and everything, but is that sellable? Is somebody going to buy your company called Frank's Weed Control? You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we changed the name and did that. So.
When you're signing up for Frank's Weed Control, you're signing up for Frank. But the problem is that Joe may be out there or John may be out there, and that ain't Frank.
Yep. But, if your company's called Badass Lawns, that's a sellable, you know what I mean? That's a sellable company. Anybody can buy that. And Bobby could be treating, or Joe could be treating, and they're all working under badass lawns. So, you know what I mean?
How difficult was it? How much work did you have to put into making the transition?
So I had all my trucks wrapped with solid ground, and they looked pretty sweet with the mountains on them. I had to take them back and get all those re-wrapped with solid green.
Oops.
You know, just a lot of stuff like that had to happen. You know, uniforms had to get changed. All the letterheads had to get changed. All the software stuff had to get changed. So it was a long process. More stuff than you think. You know, bank account had to get changed. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? That it's not an easy deal, but I will tell you, anybody that's thinking about doing it, do it. It's only going to make you better if you think your name is holding you back. And then, you know, get the opinion of some of your peers. You know, see if your name is holding you back. So
now we'll move into this. Solid green over the next year, 5 year, 10 years. What's the direction of the company?
We're going to continue to grow weed control and fertilization. We're still going to be adding new customers and new equipment and new employees. Like I said, we have a truck coming in January, and that truck will pretty much be filled up when it comes. And then we'll have our backup pickup truck that I'll be in. And I think we can grow by 400 to 500 customers this growing season, this spring coming up. So then we'll have another truck need to be purchased after that. So I think next year we can probably add on 650 to 700 accounts next year. But it's taken a long time and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and long nights and stuff like that to get to the point where we're at now, where it's starting to snowball and really take off. You know, in marketing, I believe you have to have two things. You either have to have time or you have to have money. And when I started my company, I didn't have any money, so I had to put the time in. A lot of these, you know, people that grow by 5,000 customers a year, I mean, they put in $250,000 in marketing, you know, in the springtime and stuff like that. I didn't have that kind of money. So
I can say from the marketing standpoint, we could probably do just an entire episode on marketing too.
We could,
you know, and it's one of those things that it requires an incredible amount of capital to be able to do that.
Yes, it does. And then, you know, you can do it the old fashioned way, just time and stick it out. But then people get burned out and they're like, well, I only gained 50 customers this spring. Well, that was 50 customers you didn't have before. You know, the next year you're going to gain another 100, but then they get burned out and then they sell or they just fold up shop. They don't really want to put the time and effort into it. And, you know, business owners are a different breed. We're all about taking chances. We're all about doing things that other people aren't going to do, you know, like business acquisitions and stuff like that. Like we're always on the edge of our seat wanting to know what's next. And we seek this adrenaline on running a business. So
what would you say your split is between commercial and residential now?
I would say now we are quarter to three quarter. So we're quarter commercial and 3/4 residential. And
where were you this time 5 years ago?
7/8 commercial, 1/8 residential.
Yeah. So I mean, that's bananas.
It is, and you know, I was playing Russian roulette doing all that commercial work because those really aren't my customers. You know, they could kick me to the curb at any time, and my business peers had made that very well known, and I knew that too. I mean, I knew I was playing Russian roulette because if you put all your eggs in one basket and they kick you to the curb or somebody comes in and they don't touch you, I mean, you can't make it past that. So, yeah.
Well, Russell, I want to thank you on. This has been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can have you on again, and we'll talk just about marketing mishaps and maybe some more of the stupid stuff we've done.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's been good being on your show, and anytime you need me on here, I'll be on there.
Well, thank you. All right, Russell, I appreciate you, sir. You have a good weekend.
You too, man. See ya.
See ya. There it is. That is Russell Skipper with Solid Ground. You can go to Solid Ground. You can go to solidgreenga.com. I'm living in the past, though. You hear this? Living in the past. Solidgreenga.com. Go over there. Give them a like on Facebook. Follow him. Say hey. And you know, Russell is one of the good guys. When we talk about the good guys in the industry, this is literally who we're talking about. You know, someone who's young, who's been around, and seen the transition we've been going through as an industry over the last 10 years. And as you know, he was brought up into it. You know, it's been what he's done for as long as I've known him, and even before. You know, he fell in love with it, and he's stuck with it, and he's fought in it, and he's been in the trenches and just been right there every step of the way. And I have to say, it's always so rewarding for me to see how well he's going and how well he's doing. Because I have been on those phone calls when he's rolled his machine, and I have been on those phone calls at late o'clock at night when, you know, the concern is, you know, what if the commercial contracts all disappeared, you know, the next morning or something. So, you know, now to hear how diversification plans have executed into something very fruitful is just, man, you take a deep breath, you count your blessings. And it's fantastic. All right, I've got to take a break, and when we come back, we've got one more segment here. We're going to go ahead and ball on out before we get started on Friday, because it's Friday, bitches! The best music,
hands down and dirty. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Turn existing irrigation systems into organic fertilizing, safe pest repelling machines with the Pro Products Green Feeder System. Irrigation contractors are leaving less money on the table and increasing profits with this easy to install, easy to maintain, unlimited recurring revenue opportunity. Call 800-285-9176. 800-285-9176 and mention Turfs Up Radio for an exclusive offer, or visit proproducts.com to learn more.
Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turfs Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com. Hey, green industry pros, Turfs Up Radio is celebrating what a great first year we had and wants to give you $100 just for being involved. That's right, all you have to do is visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 and follow a few easy steps. When you hear your name live on the radio, we're going to send you a crisp $100 bill. So be sure to visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 to claim your cash. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Sir,
I'm here.
Yes, yes, you
Turfs Up
are.
Radio. It is your favorite segment, the Lust Factor. I sent you a video clip. You haven't opened my email.
Oh, that's my fault. What is it?
Well, it kind of sounds like.
Hang on. Let me find this real quick. So we're gonna do Lush.
By new look, that was actually what I got to hear of Russell was amazing. It was awesome. I really hope he calls back and contributes some more. That was great.
And that was a lot of fun. And Russell and I, we've known each other forever, and it's just it's so cool. It's so cool to see how everything's developed.
And to listen to him talk about diversification, and you were talking about how like what if my big commercial account calls the next day and it cancels on me? And I mean I grew up in a family business. My family, we did photo developing. Like you bring your pictures in, and that's what we did. Well, those machines that are on the other side of those counters weren't cheap. And we had just purchased a brand new piece of equipment that I know the note was $3,000 a month. Our largest commercial account walked in the door and said, "We're going digital. We're not coming to you anymore."
Boy.
I watched my parents like crumble and tremor. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we literally had the machine in the store for 2 months. We had paid 2 months payments on it. And now we had a 5-year note at $3,000 a month to pay. And it's like, you're just trying to scramble. Like, what are you going to do? So like, you do have to diversify. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. You have to be ready for that. That really kind of hit home on that last one.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I don't want to divulge too much of Russell from a personal sense, but I mean, things were heavy.
I'm sure.
Really, really heavy. Lots of emotional phone calls there. And, Russell isn't just a heavy drinker, so, he has his own way of coping with things, and just listening to him talk through these scenarios and the different ways it can all play out. I mean, I was going hard on the Tito's for him.
I need a few Bud Lights in me because I just raked out 8,000 square feet twice. Fresh loam. Threw down 20 pounds per 1,000 of that X soil.
Oh boy!
Threw down we mixed that right in, some X Start, and we topped it right over with some GTMF. Might have thrown in a few other things, and then told the guy, "Yep, make sure you put up that sign that says you have a well because we just had a water ban put in."
Oh wow! Really?
Oh yeah. They just came in and clamped. It is really dry. It hasn't rained here in a while.
Yeah, y'all have been going through. I mean, y'all had one earlier this season too. Real bad drought.
Yeah. Cornell University posted we are in I guess out of this, I didn't realize there was 4 stages to a drought. We're in a stage 2 in our area. I can't imagine what a stage 4 would be like. I would think we'd be a desert. But I mean, you can see where even in irrigated areas and fields that we have where the trees are, it's yellow underneath the tree, under the trees because they're sucking the water out from the grass. And those are irrigated areas.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough scenario to be in. I hate you're having to go through that. We went through one back in 2000. Oh, what years did the Smoky Mountains burn? I guess that was 2017, maybe, or 2016, something like that. We had one there, and it was terrible. So I feel for you. I really, really do feel for you.
Yeah, and I feel for the customers.
Do you? I'm playing what you sent me, and this is the best thing ever. Do you hear that?
I do.
That is some serious beer popping there.
That's right. I forgot there was music too.
All right, Lushy. Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing the Lush Factor with us. Did Asami send you the graphics you'd asked her about?
She did. She's working on it.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sir. I hope you have a great weekend, and love to the family.
Thank you. You too. And tell Asami to get back to work on that.
I will. I'll say it just like that.
All right. I'll talk to you, Matt.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
All right. And last thing I was going to talk about here had a question about a fertilizer called Turf Trust, and so I'm taking a quick gander at it here at the label, and yeah, it looks like a fine fertilizer here. So we've got a little bit of ammonium sulfate, a little urea, a little polycoated urea, and a little urea formaldehyde. Actually, two different forms of urea formaldehyde. One is crotonolidine diurea, which is going to be real similar to the old school IBDU type deal. Different because I do believe this is actually microbial mineralization that has to occur. And then, of course, we got a little bit of miners in here. We got us a little iron. We got us a little boron, a little manganese, and a little zinc. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like a perfectly fine granular fertilizer here. I've got no issues with it at all. And from a number perspective, so we're at 8, 9, 12. So it's roughly 50% slow release too. So there you go. It looks fine to me. So again, big thanks, Russell, for jumping on here, and one day we'll have to do one of those things where we get on and have us a few adult beverages and just go down in conversation. There was literally one time Russell and I, we hopped on one of these Facebook groups or something, and I think he poured himself a J Daniels, and I may have had a sweet tea and Tito's at the time, and for a couple of hours we got on there and raised Cain for quite a while. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. So I get a little reminiscent of that when he comes back on. He said, "Sounds like a plan." That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Well, it's Friday. It is 5:57. We've got a short but shortish weekend ahead of us. I say short because when it's just a regular weekend, it seems to go by so fast. So I hope everybody this weekend takes it upon themselves to, one, I challenge you to learn something new. Get out there, take on something that you do not feel comfortable with, and try to learn it to the best of your ability. Also, I would challenge everybody, if you're going to be spraying any herbicides this upcoming week, take the time while you're sitting on the toilet, whatever the case may be, read the label, understand it, go top to bottom, just for one good time. Just start at the beginning and read through the entirety of it. You would be stunned. Even something you have sprayed for 10 years, you reread the label, you're going to see the latest changes in it, and it will shock you that you will come across something new that you were not prepared for. It happens every time. It even happens to me. For instance, when I was doing the research for the tenacity video I did, one of the things I noticed in the label that I had never noticed before was the recommendation not to mix with a carbamate insecticide. And I just was like, man, you've got to be kidding me. I've looked at this label 50 times over the last 5 years, and not once have I noticed that on the label. But here I am again reading it one more time, and I come across something I didn't know. The beautiful thing about this industry is that every day you have the opportunity to learn something new. This is an industry in which there is never a moment that is not a teachable, learned moment. So I want you to remember that. Take that into the weekend as you prepare for what's coming up the next week, because you have the opportunity to build yourself, to build your business, build your reputation, and build your career. And if you do those things, whether you set out to or not, you are building the industry. So, all right, everybody, I love you all. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. It leaves you no limits. And don't forget, coming up tonight, we got Hackybus who's going to be burning it down. We love you all. See you on the flip side.